All right, where do you stand with Kentucky and the one and done approach?
Well, it's a little bit more, I think, convoluted than that. Just because it's been a while when coaches wanted to go young, they started to go young. You saw it across the country. Then coaches wanted to get older because they felt that that was the best way to win. Now, here's a bigger question too, Dan, is with, and I try to ask questions like this with coaches when I'm doing games, especially now in the tournament, but during the season. How do you build a program? How do you build culture now with NIL and with the transfer portal being so relevant? Because before, you would get a freshman and you say, okay, two or three freshmen, and let's grow these young men. Let's build them. By the time they're juniors and seniors, they're seasoned. They know the program. They know the culture. And we have an older team. And then that just goes down like Villanova, would do that. Michigan State would do that. Wisconsin, schools like that. Gonzaga. The challenge today is with freshmen, depending on their background, the patience part, to know that you may sit a little bit and not play when in your ear, other programs are saying, well, if you come here, you can play right away. And that may be where programs with NIL may have to overpay to keep freshmen in place, to build that. So with John Calipari, listen, last year they lost to a team that was a higher seed. So it's not just, well, you got young guys this year. He had an older team last year that lost. So it's, and this team here with these young freshmen, let me tell you something about Greg Campy in Oakland. I've learned this over the years covering him. Coaches in the industry love and respect and hate him at the same time. They don't want to schedule him in the non-conference. I've done a lot of games with Oakland, especially against Michigan or Michigan State, where there's been so much respect for him. So this is not a fluke. This is coaches know he can coach, okay? But to answer your question, it's been that way in a while in regards to just a team full of freshmen thinking that you're going to win. Coaches have gotten off that train a while ago and really searched for the transfer portal to get old and stale.
What would you do if you're Kentucky, this situation with Coach Cal? Would you even be thinking about making a change?
I would. You have to, because here's the thing about it. You're paying Coach Cal a lot of money to win games. This is Kentucky. You're thinking about national championship. But also you got to be conscious that you're not going to win a national championship every year. But how do we compete? How do we grow? Where's the state of our program? These are the questions that you have to ask. Where are we going to be 4 or 5 years from now? And who could be the successor? Is it a younger individual that will grow with the new culture and understand where we want to go? These are all the things that you have to understand. I just went through the process with, not myself, but with the new AD, Ross Bork, the new president at Ohio State, and in regards to evaluating where the program wants to begin. We're not Kentucky from a basketball perspective, but these are the questions that the same ADs across the country are asking. Yeah. And I think it's critical. And I think now is a time that you have to reevaluate and look at where the state of the program, whether that's Cal, they did at Louisville, you know what I mean, in different areas, Ohio State, what's out there in the market and who can best fit us, not just for today, but for the next 5 or hopefully 10 years.
I just think that, building up and getting that recruiting class as opposed to, going around the country and saying, hey, I could get a shooting guard, I can get a rebounder here. These guys are already proven. And NIL, right. And I mean, the transfer portal has changed all of this. I would look at Villanova, what they've done. I'd look at what UConn's doing right in front of us right now. It's nice. It's nice to have potential, but potential, if they reach it, they're probably only playing 1 year. And if I'm going to get somebody with experience who maybe understands they're not an NBA player, that's where I'm going.
Well, but here's the thing, though, Dan. You're looking at Villanova, UConn. They've already been built, so their culture was there. But this year, they got Cam Spencer at UConn to replace Hawkins and some guys. Okay, so they got one transfer in that paid huge dividends. Talking to Tom Izzo at Michigan State, he's kind of in that in between where he understands that he has some young guys that he can grow, but that he may have to dip his foot at some point into the transfer portal. It's it's an interesting dynamic. Villanova is the same way. This year they had 3 or 4 transfers that came in.
Yeah.
Okay, that Kyle Neptune had to figure out how to build that program differently. And I don't think you're going to be able to build it the same way that you did before. Look, Chris Jans from Mississippi State, the coach there, at his press conference came in and said, I'm not here to build a program. I'm here to win. And if that means that every year I'm going to have to go to the transfer portal and look for a point guard, for a shooting guard, that's how I see it as building. So everybody has their different way of looking at it, Dan. But we're still evolving into what NIL and this transfer portal is ultimately going to be. So we're not done yet. It's still some adjustments to the matrix, I believe, that are going to happen in the next few years.